Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Unblocked Podcast Network. This is Coach Fred Riley with Coach Unblocked, our weekly feature featuring high school and college coaches who are faith-based coaches and talking to them about how their faith affects their coaching, affects their lives, and helps them in terms of impacting the young people around them. Tonight's guest, our first guest, is Coach Danny Smith. Worked with me at Davidson for many years. I've witnessed firsthand how his faith has impacts his life and makes a difference in his life. Danny's a Mobilian from Shaw High School, and there's nobody you can find to say anything bad about Danny Smith. And probably be a Hall of Famer one day. Been a head coach, does it all. Is retired now in George County, Mississippi. And Danny, Coach Smith, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you, buddy.
Coach Riley, I appreciate it, man. And it's just an honor to be here, talk about faith and football. It's nothing else, nothing better we can talk about in those two subjects. And man, I'm just honored and blessed to be here and talk with you tonight, man. I'm looking forward to it, and let's do it.
Well, let's start with sports in general. Where did your love for sports start? Your passion for sports start? And tell us a little bit about where your upbringing and how sports impacted your life.
Well, sure. I mean, it all started with my dad. And, I come from a pretty large family and 5 other brothers and a sister. And my dad worked numerous jobs. He was a captain in the fire department. We didn't go on vacations very much, but we lived at the ballpark. And my dad was very instrumental in my, growing up and playing sports, got me interested in football and youth baseball. And it just went from there. And I'll never forget my dad telling me one day, he said, "Look, son," he said, "if you could find something to do that you enjoy doing for the rest of your life, you would never have to work a day in your life." And, I thought about that. When him being a captain on the fire department for Mobile for like 28 years, I had big dreams of being a captain, do what my dad did for a living. But
Sure.
as time went by and I kept, was involved with sports, and I love being around kids and just the relationships that you build and keep teaching these guys, how to be winners on and off the field, I decided, I want to be a coach. If I do that, I will never work a day in my life. And 34 years later, I still believe that. And I look forward to going to work every day and pouring, everything I have into young kids of today. And it's just a blessing. And I'm not working now. I'm having fun and drawing a little paycheck by doing it.
I hear you now. And now you came from a family of you got quite a few brothers, right?
That's right.
I'm imagining y'all were pretty competitive as young people around the house and around the yard.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I was the second to the youngest, and buddy, they picked on me and they didn't let me win. I don't care if we was playing chess or checkers or whatever. They taught me how to compete. Then they told me, "You got to get better." And to this day, it's so funny that we get together for a family dinner or anything, family holidays. We're going to play cornhole. We're going to play ping pong, something competitive, or play cards from this day. And we always get a big laugh out of it. That's just the way you raise, and that's what I grew up doing, is competing in all sports. And I love all sports. But I all started with my dad and my brothers, just growing up in a sports family. And it's been a great ride. It really has.
Now, what was your favorite sport as a kid and as a young person?
Whatever's in season. Seriously, we played multiple sports, and if it was baseball season, man, I love baseball. And I was playing third base and catching. I love Pete Rose, the way he competed. He was my idol. And baseball season, got through. Then football season rolls around as a young guy, and just growing up an Alabama fan and being from the South and being, in a SEC fan. Then football is my favorite sport.
Right.
And believe it or not, man, I love basketball too, and kept up with the old Celtics and stuff, and grew up in the 90s and 80s and 90s, and Larry Bird and the Celtics, and just, I just love it all, man. But now, as I got older, I guess football. I mean, it's.
But you coach multiple sports too now, right? I mean, you didn't coach just football. I mean, you coached baseball. I mean, you've had your hand in a little bit of everything.
I have. I was fortunate enough back in the 90s, from 93, 97, I was a head baseball coach at Shaw. Before then, I was a JV basketball coach. Coach with you, I actually coached track.
Mhm.
Then when I was at Baker, I was helped out with the girls softball program before I became the head football coach out there. And so I had the opportunity to coach them all. And I was able to touch many kids over the years, just like you, coach. And when you put 34 years in this education field, you're going to be around a lot of kids. And I just hope I made a major impact on some of them that I've crossed.
Well, I know you did, and the I think we would both agree, that you would agree with me that having a wife who is a great teammate, who partners with you in this and understands how all this works. I mean, that is an additional blessing and just about something you can't do without.
Oh, absolutely. Just like Susan, your wife, she supports me. She loves football. Just whatever season's in that I'm involved in, she's going to support me 100%. Like I said, I'm coaching over Mississippi now in George County over in Loosedale. And every Friday, here she comes. She's going to pack her bags and get T Mac and they partners and they go head to Loosedale and they going to watch me every Friday night. And that says a lot, driving from Mobile all the way to Loosedale, but still supporting us and on the 50-yard line and just, when I told her I was interested maybe going over at coaching and she supported me the whole way, and that opportunity came up and she said, you know what, we're going to be a Rebel now. And it's George
Well,
County Rebels. And she just, I'm very fortunate and blessed to have a lady in my life that absolutely loves football and supports me in everything that I do.
Well, I think the folks that watch this would also be I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you to tell them where you got married and and how all that played out.
Well, at the time I was at Baker High School and coaching football, and so I proposed to her, and we knew we was going to get married, and so we just talked about it a little bit. And actually, it was her idea. She said, "Hey, she was involved with the Booster Club, and I was the head football coach out there." She said, "We met, through football," and she said, "What about let's just get married on the 50-yard line at Baker?" Nah, I'll be honest with you, I was kind of hesitant. I said, I don't know about that. It's just too much attention on me. And I just sometimes don't want to be in the spotlight at all time. And she said, no, don't feel that way. This is what we do for a living. This is us.
Mm,
So, how do you say no to that?
well,
And
yeah,
so,
I mean,
yeah, I mean,
and from
that's,
my perspective, I wish you had, because I about roasted in them bleachers watching you get married. I mean, I left there, my
oh
face was
God.
burned and red. Oh my
Oh,
gosh, was it hot?
Oh, I
Oh my
remember.
God.
You think, hey, I was in a suit. How do you think I
Oh
was in
yeah.
the tux? How do you think I felt, man? Looking up there and seeing you up there and all my
Oh yeah.
coaching buddies and people.
Oh yeah.
But
Oh
it
yeah.
was it was a lot of fun. It was I'll never forget it the rest of my life. And I just appreciate the support and everything from Baker that from the administration on allowing us to do that. It was a great time, and I now I'm glad we did it because that's what we do. I mean, we live football and she's there and we ran with it and glad we did.
Well, and we're having Dennis Hayford on tomorrow night on the network, and part of that we'll talk about the next level football camps that we started. When you were at Davidson, and the Fellowship of Christian Athlete camps that we sort of put together and decided we were going to do truck pushes and all that stuff, and just the number of lives that were impacted through that, and and of course the 707s that went on, but just to be able to be there in that environment with like-minded people and competing also. I mean, I always said Jesus would have probably been a heck of a free safety. I mean, I think he would have run the alley and knocked the snot out of you, helped you up, and say, "I love you, and I'll be right back, brother." And I mean, so it's so much fun, so much fun.
That's right. And I never forget what the sayings used to say when the guys would say, like, hey, I can't go to practice. I got to go to church. You just say, well, you know what? God wants you at football, and I would never forget that. And,
Oh yeah, I mean, no. I mean, we had and we had so much fun with them, and it's coaching football from it is a joy anyhow. But knowing that you've been called to it, which we both were called to
mhm,
coaching, you knew that it was our ministry from day one when we went into it,
yeah.
and I think that sustains you through. We've both been fired. I mean, we both, I mean, the stuff that comes with it, the trials that come with it, the names you get called. I mean, fortunately for us, most of our stuff was done prior to social media. So it was, there wasn't as much as it is today. But, without that knowledge of why you're doing what you're doing and what you're called to do, coaching's tough. Coaching's
It
tough.
is. Yeah, and you know, you got to have thick skin. You just got to let some of that stuff just roll off your back, and you got to realize big picture why you in this profession. You know, back when I was younger, I was just like go, 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 win, win, win at all costs. And I was a Christian, but as older I got in this profession and more years of experience, I realized it's more important put God first and lead these guys in the right direction. When you're out there coaching them, they're watching you.
Sure.
And they see when you get on to them. And I coach them. I still coach them hard, but now as I've gotten older, I even love them even harder. I know if I get on a kid at practice, I'm going to that locker room. I'll look him up, put my arm around him, and every one thing negative or one thing I'm trying to find something wrong, I'm gonna tell him 10 things he's doing well on that practice field. And kids are not going to remember what you give them or anything else. They're going to remember how you made them feel. So
Right.
I try to build them up. Did you hear Nick Saban's a few weeks ago when Pete Rose came and spoke to Alabama? What he said, kick him in the butt. Whether it's time to kick him in the butt and time to pat him in the butt or whatever he said,
Right.
That is so true with these kids. Even it's no more now because we don't know what all these kids are going through at home, and it is tough.
You're right.
And
You're right.
they look at us as mentors. And so there's a lot of times you just got to put your arm around them, pat them on the back, say, hey, we're going to get them next time.
Yeah, no question. We had the reunion of the 2005 Davidson undefeated team. And I know you obviously couldn't be there that night because y'all were playing. But you know what? It was nonstop stories with those guys. Man. I mean, those guys, of course, they're now, that's 18 years ago. These guys are 35, 36 years old. And the things that they remembered that you would never remember. Coach, you remember when you said that? I said, no, please tell me I didn't say that. Oh my gosh. No. So the things that stuck in their minds and stuck in their heads that are so different from what you would remember and was just amazing. But it's funny, when they all got together, they went right back into who they were at 18 years old. The loud one was loud. The pick owner was the pick owner. The one that got picked on was the same one. I mean, they literally just went back to being those kids again. Yes. And it was just so much fun hanging out with them. And,
man.
And I know they'll do the 2018 one day. We'll get together for that. The 9 team, the 10 team, they'll all have to be recognized. Maybe by then you'll have retired and be able to be there and join me.
Man, I tell you, I would have gave anything in the world to be there. When I got wind of that, they was going to recognize that team. The first thing I went and looked at was our football schedule we're playing that night. And it's like, dang, they're going to do that on a Friday night. But God, what a team. I can't remember what I did yesterday, but I can remember back in that season, that offense, Jerome, what was Jerome?
Jerome King.
Jerome King
was there.
And Colston at playing.
He was there. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. And all those guys. And just, and they were something else. And they hated losing, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, well, they didn't do it very often. Just once.
No, they didn't. But I loved all those guys, man. I love to just see what they're up to now. I keep up with some of them through social media, and they seem like they're all doing good. And hopefully we can get together with the 08 or 09 team. That'd be a lot of fun.
Well, to see 36-year-old men come up and hug you with tears in their eyes, that's pretty special. And then to have one young man, I'm not going to say who he was, but, came up to me, pulled me aside and said, Coach, can I talk to you for a second? And I said, sure you can. He was a junior on that team. Yeah. And he came up and said, I want to apologize for how I acted my senior year. I was wrong. You were doing everything you could to help me, and I fought you every step of the way, and I was wrong, and I am sorry. And we stood on the track at Davidson in the new stadium and hugged right there until he got that out of his system. So yeah, they're watching you and they think about it, and it's as we said, I mean, it is our ministry. And I'm so proud of you. I mean, it's because when you get put in this position, the position you're in, I mean, there's no place to hide.
Yeah.
I mean, and God puts you out there, and you're that light. And when bad things happen, especially, folks going to see it. Are you who you say you are when
Absolutely.
the bad stuff happens? And are you the real deal or not? And then when you are, it's like, what's different about that guy? He's got something I don't have. And that sometimes you're the only Jesus a young man ever gets to see.
They're watching every bit of it. And that's why we do it. I know it, and the story you just gives me chills, the story you just told me. When a kid can come back 18 years later and thank you for what you did and apologize. I mean, that's why we do it. I mean, that's the biggest win that you can get right there more than anything, that you made a difference in a young man's life. And now they are productive citizen in the community, got a family, and they on the right track. And now the next generation is going to see them, how they handle things, what kind of high character they are now.
Right.
And man, it's unbelievable. That's some good stuff.
Well, Danny, I thank you so much for coming on, being my first guest. This was very intentional that you were my first guest in this deal. And, I love you and as a dear friend, and look forward to seeing you soon. And, good luck with you the rest of your season. Okay.
All right, Coach. Thank you so much, man. I love you too, brother. And good luck. And let's stay in touch.
All right, partner.